Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hello to all. For 8 weeks until early of October, we have to learn to live in new norm post-COVID-19, which the online learning has been implemented to ensure smooth process of teaching and learning. For that, all lecturers has tried their best to ensure all material has been delivered to the student. So please give us your fully cooperation to make this process go smoothly. We wish all of you a very good luck and see you in coming October. Welcome student to Chapter 2 Industrial Building Allowance Part 3. A learning objective is very important to make sure each student are able to conquer what they had been learning. So these are the 4 learning objectives for this topic. Number 1. Students should understand the industrial building allowance. You can define and use the rules of 10% rules and 75% rules. You also should know the calculation aspect from constructed building, purchased building, disposal building, and compute the balancing charges or balancing allowance. You should also understand the temporary disuse and notional allowance. And the last one, you should know the other allowance such as agriculture sector and forest sector. Welcome student to part 3, calculation aspect. Okay, so in part 1, you already know the definition of industrial and non-industrial building. You also has mastered and learned how to calculate the 10% rules. In part 2, you already learned what are the qualifying building expenditure, the 75% rules, and the types of allowance. So now in part 3, you are going to learn about calculation aspect from constructed building, purchased building, and disposal building, which will occur balancing charge or balancing allowance. Before we continue to calculation aspect, I would like to have a look back on the definition of industrial building IB. In paragraph 63, industrial building included anything such as factory, which is equipped with plant equipment and machinery to carry out the manufacturing or processing of product. The important keyword here is a building used as a factory to carry out manufacturing or processing product. Industrial building also can be applied to those business who related to the sea, such as dock, wharf, depot or jetty, or anything that regarding to farm or a mine, respective on business activities, depend to their business activity. So in paragraph 64, the factory can be defined also for a mill, workshop, or manufacturing. Factory also can be defined, or industrial building also can be related for any building that has been built within the same compound as a factory. Okay, the same curtilage means the same area with the factory. Any building that are in the area of the factory can be determined as industrial building. So let's have a look at this example. This is a complete building. Which is factory? This is a factory. Factory is an industrial building. So, what does it mean by same curtilage? Any building within the same compound as factory, such as this type of building. Maybe it's a storage. Any building that related to the factory, this is a gas outside. The process, the factory process, then they will take out the gas or the smoke here. So this is also can be determined as a industrial building. Water storage, the parking area, the fences, and any building. So any building that is within the same compound as a factory can be determined as industrial building. So what else? In paragraph 65, it is said that factory also can be determined as any building that related to staff welfare, such as canteen, washroom, restroom, bathroom, and for in paragraph 65 for farm worker to their living accommodation. So all this can be determined as industrial building. So what are the non-industrial building? So in paragraph 65 subsection 3, it is said that office, showroom, dwelling house, retail shop are treated as non-industrial building. But for 10% rules, which you have been learned in part 1, if the office, showroom, dwelling house and retail shop is less than 10%, from the whole building, so all of these can be determined as industrial building. Okay, so there must be less, the size or the cost must be less than 10%. Okay, so we are moved to calculate. Okay, we are going to move to calculation aspect, but before that, you should calculate the QBE first. Okay, if the QBE is qualifying moving expenditure, you have been learned it in part 2. So this is the first step. Before we are going to calculate it, you must identify the date when expenditure incurred. Okay, so there are two types of building. Okay, one is constructed building. So the date is whether the construction completed or business commenced. Okay, so let's have a look. There are three companies here. There are company A, company B, and company C. So the accounting period for each company is different. Okay, so company A completed year ended on 31st December. This is a perfect, ideal accounting period. However, it depends on their registered their company, which is on at company B, the accounting period is ended on 30th June, while meanwhile the company C ended on 31st March every year. So the question will give you the date of constructed. So the date of constructed completed on 31st December. Same with the company B, right? But for company C, the constructed ended on 30th March 2019. So what you should do is you should know when. Okay, when is the correct year assessment that you start to claim for industrial building allowance. So you should identify the accounting period first, which is on 1st January 2019 and ended on 31st December 2019, and the constructed complete on 31st December 2019. So the year is 2019. So the IBA will be claimed for the assessment, and the IBA will be claimed start from 2019. So let's have a look at the number 2, company B. Okay, this is the accounting period. Okay, and the company complete their construction on 31st December 2019, but the complete year ended on 2020. So that's why company B will start claim their industrial building allowance on the assessment 2020. How about company C? This is their accounting period. Okay. And the building in the factory has been completed on 30th March 2019. So the accounting period here ended on 2019. So that's why company C will start claim for IBA industrial building allowance on 2019. Okay, so before you start the calculation wise, you should make sure you correct your assessment. Okay, right, so let's have a look at the second situation. Okay, so this is a purchase building, right? Okay, so same with the example given you 3 company also, company A, company B, and company C. Alright, so you have to put up a complete timeline, which is this is the accounting period date, and this is where the company purchased the building. So it ended on 2019. So this is the first year of company A will claim for their IBA, right? Same is here, right? The ending is 2020, so the company will be starting claim their IBA on year assessment 2020. Alright, so same with here, the accounting period ended on 2019, so the company C will start claim for the IBA in year assessment 2019. So what are the difference between constructed building and the purchased building? Okay. So if constructed building, okay, the date will be on the completion of constructed. However, in purchased building, the date of purchase will be declared as the first day of industrial building allowance can be claimed. However, what if in the question they are stated for 2 dates? Okay. So if it's about constructed building, so this is a 2 date that given to you. One is constructed date and another one is manufacturing date. So what you should do, what date that you should choose? You should choose the manufacturing date. Okay, remember this, student? Okay, for constructed building, if there are 2 dates are given to you, you should choose manufacturing date. However, when it's come to purchase building, there are two dates are given to you, purchase date and manufacturing date. You should choose the purchase date. These are the correct choose of date. So you can draw your timeline and choose the correct assessment. Okay, so we already identify the correct year assessment. So next process, you should calculate the QBE so you can know, you can choose allowable, non-allowable expenses. You have been learned this in QBE, right? QBE part 2. Also, you have been learned about calculate 10% rules. You already learned about 10% rules in part 1 actually. Okay. So number 4, you should know how to calculate the 75 rules. Already learned this in part 2. Okay. Also, you can identify the rate of allowance for initial allowance, or annual allowance or notional allowance. Number 6. Okay, so you can choose whether the disposal company gave a balancing charge or balancing allowance. So what does it mean by balancing charge or balancing allowance? Balancing charge means if the sold or disposal price is higher than residual expenditure. So that is balancing charge. However, if the sold or disposal price is lower than residual expenditure, you can call it as balancing allowance. Okay students, so now we are going to have a look at the example, which is in this question. In this question, I have gathered all the situation in one question, which is there are a need of calculate of 10% rules, the 75% rules. You also have to calculate the QBE, identify which one is allowable or not allowable expenses. You also will need to do an calculation for industrial building, for constructed building, then dispose and purchase. So kindly give all your attention so you can understand how to calculate and complete the situation. Okay student, so let's have a look at the example given. While you are reading the question, we need to identify the important dates such as accounting period, anything that regarding to the event, so we can answer question perfectly. Okay, so the first step that you need to identify and find is step 1. You need to identify accounting period for each company and the date of construction or purchase building. Okay. So from the question, we need to find anything regarding to accounting period for each company and the date of constructed purchase building. Okay, so the first company is Fasendia Berhad, an electronic equipment manufacturer for the domestic market, has been carrying on business for several years. The company prepared its account for 31st December annually. Okay, so these are the accounting period for Fasendia Berhad. In 15 May 2015, the company completed the construction of its factory at the following cost. Okay, so this is the date of constructed building completed. such as what the question needed you to find out. Yeah. So these are the two dates that you need to find in the question. Alright, so these are the following costs given to you. So we need to identify which one is the QBE, which one is not allowable as QBE. Okay, so we are going to this later. So the next information is you have to identify, step number 2, you have to identify if there is an information about 10% calculation. If you can still remember in part 1, we already learned about 10% rule, which is if there is any information regarding to the office, dwelling house, retail shop and showroom, you have to calculate the 10% rules. Okay, so in the information they are giving you 1/5 part of the building is used for office. Okay, let's change it. Okay. It was used as office and management purposes. So you have to calculate this office whether it less or more than 10% rules. Okay. On 22nd October 2018, yeah, on 22nd October 2018, the building was closed due to heavy flood. Okay, so this is also an important date. You have to remember. You have to take a note on that, which is the building cannot be used due to heavy flood, but it was still maintained in readiness. The word readiness here is very important because when this word given, it means the company can claim the annual allowance because they're ready to use actively after the building is repaired. Okay, so the word maintained in readiness is very important to identify whether the company should claim annual allowance or notional allowance to be brought back to business. So the building can be used back on 10th February 2019. Okay. Next information. On 17th October 2019, this building has been sold to Arya Sendirian Berhad. So this is a second company. Sendirian Berhad is another company which accounting period ended on 30th April annually. So this the accounting period here you should put in here, and anything regarding the date of purchase, which is here. The date of purchase is here. So you must put the information in step 1. Arya Sendirian Berhad allocate 8% from the building as showroom and office. Okay, so the word showroom and office will make you will need you to calculate the 10% rules. However, the question has given you the information which is only 8%. 8% of the whole building is used for showroom and office. So you have to remember the rules, which is if the showroom, office, dwelling house and retail shop is less than 10%, so the part of the area will be included as industrial building. Okay. So the question need you to calculate the industrial building allowance for Fas Sendirian Berhad and Harriet Sendirian Berhad until year assessment 2020. question need you to compute the industrial building allowance for Fas Sdn Bhd and Harian Sdn Bhd until year assessment 2020. So these are the solution that you need to do first. So we won't left any information, and we can get a full mark on calculate the industrial building allowance. So we already know the step 1, which is you have to identify accounting period for each company and the date of constructed purchase building. Step 2, you are required to identify if there is information regarding shop, retail shop area, dwelling house, showroom and office. So you have to calculate the 10% rules. So we can identify the industrial building part and non-industrial building part. Okay. Step number 3, you have to calculate any 75% rules. 75% rules here. 75% rules, which is regarding to installation for heavy and machinery. So, alright, so you have to look for any information regarding the installation part. Okay. So next step number 4, you have to calculate the qualifying building expenditure QBE for both company, which is there are a constructed building and purchase building. Step 5, you have to identify if there any temporary disuse event. So in the question, there are a heavy flood event, heavy flood matter. So you have to know the date and did the building that did the event make the building maintained in readiness or not. So you have to know about that too. Okay, so the next step is if there any information regarding to the date of sale of the building, so you have to know about that too. Okay, so this is not about the date of sale of the company, it is the date of sale of the building. So the information they're giving you too about that, which is here. Okay. So the date of sale of the building. Okay, so after you identify the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now it is the time that you compute the industrial building allowance. Okay, so let's get all the information needed from step 1 to step 7. Step 1. Okay, you need to identify the accounting period for each company and the date of constructed purchase building. Okay, purchase building. So there are two company, which is the Fas Sdn Bhd and Harian Sdn Bhd. Okay, so we need to identify the accounting period for Fas Sdn Bhd first. So in the question, they are giving you the information which is alright, so the accounting period for Fas Sdn Bhd is every 31st December, is it? Okay. Right. So every 31st December, so the accounting period is on we make it completed for the year. So it will start on 1st January 2015 until 31st December 2015. Okay, and the constructed building completed on 15th May 2015. Okay, so how do I get this answer? How did I know the year assessment that we're going to start is on 2015. So you have to sketch some timeline here. You have to do this first and the timeline so you can identify the correct year assessment. Alright, so the first neighborhood accounting period start on 1st February and the completed on 15 May 2015 and the accounting period ended on 31st December 2015. So the year here 2015 will mark that in 2000 the year assessment that we are going to claim is on 2015. So this is how you need to do first. Do the timeline so you can get the correct year assessment. Okay. So we are settled on first Sendian Berhad year assessment. So let's move to Hariap Sendian Berhad. Okay, so let's find the information of accounting period for Hariap Sendian Berhad. Okay, so the accounting period is given you here, 30th April. So the accounting period. Alright, so let's have a look at the Hariap Sendian Berhad accounting period. So you have to identify in the question which will giving you information regarding to the accounting period. Okay, so the Hariap accounting period is given you here, right? So accounting period is start on 1st May 2019 on until 30th April 2020, which is the purchase building was on 17th October 2019. So how did I get the year assessment on 2020? So same as first neighborhood, you need to draw some outline here. Okay, so the Hariap Sendian Berhad accounting period start on 1st May 2019, which is they are purchased the building on 17th October 2019 and the accounting period ended on 30th April 2020. So all here mark complete cycle of accounting period. Okay, so how did I get this information? So let's have a look at the ended year here. The Hariap Sendian Berhad bought the building on 17th October 2019 and the company ended on 2020. That's where I got the year assessment 2020. So as I told you, you should draw a timeline first so you can identify the correct year assessment claim for industrial building allowance. Okay, alright, so we have completed step 1. So let's move to step 2 on how to calculate 10% calculation if there an information regarding to office, dwelling house, showroom and retail shop. Okay, so in the question they are given you information on office here, office. Okay, same with the Hariap Sendian Berhad also give you information regarding to showroom and office. So you have to calculate the 10% rule first. Okay, let's start with first Sendian Berhad. Okay, the information are given you here, which is It is said that 1/5 from the building is used for office and management purpose. So you have to calculate whether the office is more or less than 10% rules. Okay, you have to calculate this. So this is how we calculate 1/5 times 100 equally to 20%. Okay, 20%. If you can still remember, if the area, the office, showroom, dwelling house or retail shop is more than 10%, it is said that the area is not industrial building. So what are the conclusion we get from the 10% rules is, in fast neighborhood building, there are only 80% is identified as industrial building, and the other 20% is non-industrial building. So we are going to look at the effect, whether what happened if the company has industrial building part and non-industrial building part. Okay, so let's have a look at the hurry-up neighborhood. Okay, is there any information regarding to office, dwelling house, retail shop or showroom? Okay, yes, there are some information here. Okay, so we have to calculate the 10% rules too, right? Okay. Okay, office and showroom has been stated that there are 8% of office and showroom has been used for 8%. For 10% rules, it is said that if the office, showroom, retail shop and dwelling house is less than 10%, so the area will be identified as industrial building. So this is what the conclusion that we get for 10% rules is, whole building is industrial building. Okay, so this is for step 2. You have to identify whether there are some area that cannot be included as industrial building. Now, we are going to identify the 75% rules, okay? So I need to repair on this 75% rules. Okay, so 75% rules is regarding to any expenses of installation for heavy plant and machinery. Okay, for plant and heavy machinery. Okay, heavy machinery. So if you can still remember that in 75% rules, it is said that if any cost of installation is more than 75%, it will be included as a part of QBE. So that's why we need to calculate the installation part. If you did not understand about the 75% rules, you may have a look at the part 2 of the industrial building allowance video first, okay? So let's have a look at the first neighborhood. In the type of expenses here, okay, right? So here, part here, there are a word of installation expenses. Okay, so we need to calculate this. Okay, we need to calculate the we have to calculate the installation part here. Okay, whether these expenses is more or less than 75%. Okay, so let's have a look on how we are going to calculate it. Okay, we just take the information. And we do the calculation. Okay, first you need to identify the you need to calculate, you need to get the aggregate cost. Okay, so 200,000 plus 320,000, we get je aggregate cost for 520,000. So the 75% rules is site, okay, site or installation cost here will be divided by aggregate cost. We are going to times it for 100%. So 320,000 divided to to aggregate cost, you will get 61%. Okay, 61%. So in 75 rules, it is said that if these expenses, okay, is less than 75% rules, so it won't be included as part of QBE, right? So we are going to add only this amount, not this amount, because it is less than 75%. Okay. Alright. So we are complete on calculate 75% rules for fast neighborhood. So how about hurry up neighborhood? Is there any information regarding to installation of plant and machinery, preparing site for any plant? Okay. From what we are reading here in the question, there are no information about the 75% for hurry up neighborhood. Okay, so the calculation is not needed. Okay, sorry, calculation is not needed. Alright, so let's move to step 4. Okay, step 4, we are going to identify the QBE. QBE is very important in this part, because if you calculate it wrong, it will be effect to whole of your answer. Okay, so that's why you need to identify the 75% rules, and you need to know what type of expenses that can be included as QBE or non-QBE. Okay, so this is very important part. This step is very important. Okay. Alright, so let's calculate the QBE. Okay. So all the information will be given to you as here. Okay, so let's do the calculation for first neighborhood first. Alright, so for first neighborhood, the cost has been given to you. Okay, so you need to identify which expenses is allowable, which one is not allowable. Okay. Alright. So first, the cost, the type of expenses of the land, 700,000. Any expenses regarding to land is not allowable, so this is not a QBE. Okay. So how about legal fee? Okay. Including fee for acquisition of land amounted of 20,000. Okay, so the amount is 90,000. We are going to deduct it with 20,000. So the amount of allowable QBE is only 70,000. Okay, remember that anything regarding to the land is not allowable. Okay. So next is demolition all industrial building. The amount is 88,000. So what do you think? Is these expenses is allowable or not? Okay. In part 2, okay, we already talked about what type of expenses that can be allowable, and what type of expenses did not qualify as QBE. Okay, so any demolition of any building is allowable, but if the demolition is related to industrial building, so these expenses is not allowable. Okay, it's not a QBE. Okay. Remember that any demolition on industrial building is not allowable, okay? So the architect fee is allowable because it's about the building expenses. So we are going to take all the amount. Same with the construction cost. The cost of heavy machinery. Okay. So if you remember about the 75%, okay, I'm going to show you. Okay. So I'm going to show you about on how are we going to record the cost of heavy machinery and preparing site cost. Okay, we already calculate the 75% rules here. So it is said that anything if the installation cost is less than 75% rules, so the amount is not a part of QBE. However, the cost of machinery is allowable, okay? 200,000. Okay, so the amount is allowable. However, the repairing site amount is not allowable, okay, because the amount is less than 75%, okay. So that's why we need to calculate the 75% rules, okay. This is where the rules effect. So how much is the QBE? Total of QBE is 2,62,500 ringgit. So this is what we are going to use, okay? This amount, we are going to use it. Alright, so how about Hariap Sdn Bhd? Okay, Hariap Sdn Bhd QBE, because Hariap is purchased the building, so the cost is on the purchase price, okay? Purchase price. Okay. Purchase cost minus the land. Okay. So the information about land is here. So we need to minus, okay? We need to minus the land cost. So the QBE is 2,700,000 ringgit. So this is the QBE for Hariap Sdn Bhd. Okay, step number 5. Is there any temporary disuse event? Why are we going to find it out? Because it will be effect on our claim for current year assessment, okay? So this is there are some information regarding on the disuse event, which is about the heavy flood here. Alright, heavy flood. So we are going to identify the date, okay? The date of disuse event. Okay. So the they are stop operation on 22nd October 2018, which is you have to draw the timeline also to identify which the assessment is included, okay? So if you draw the correct timeline, you will get this answer, okay? The assessment 2018, right? Okay, so how about the Hariap Sdn Bhd? Is there any information about the temporary disuse event? So there are no information for disuse event for Hariap Sdn Bhd. Alright, step 6. Is there any information about the date of sale of the company? Okay, why did we need to know about that? Because we need to calculate the balancing allowance and balancing charge. Okay, the treatment of balancing charge and balancing allowance is the same, the same explanation as what you have been learned in capital allowance in taxation 1, right? Okay, so for the first number, right, there are an information given to you, which is the building has been sold to Hariap Sdn Bhd on 17th October 2019. Okay, So first Sdn Bhd sold to Hurry Up Sdn Bhd at 17th October 2019, which is the related the assessment is on 2019. Yes, you have to draw some timeline to make sure that you get the correct year assessment. Okay, so if you draw the correct timeline, you will get this year assessment. Okay. But the Hurry Up Sdn Bhd didn't have any date, any event, any information regarding to the date of sold to another company. Okay, so the answer is not applicable. Okay. Alright, so this is the important part, which is will include all the step 1 until step 6, and we are going to put it in the calculation. Okay, students, so this is how we are going to calculate the industrial building allowance. Okay, so we are going to start with first Sdn Bhd. So the first year assessment after the building is completed is on the assessment 2015. Okay, we are going to start it with 2015 because we already draw the timeline as in step 1. If you can't remember it, I'm going to show you. So this is the start of claim for industrial building allowance year assessment 2015, and for Hurry Up Sdn Bhd, we are going to claim it start from year assessment 2020. So this is where the need of identify the correct year assessment. Okay, because you are going to start the calculation with the correct year, which is 2015. Okay, so for first Sdn Bhd, there are two parts of building, which is industrial building 80% and another part is non-industrial building for 20%. Did you still remember how did we get this information? There are in step 2, which is 10% rules. Okay, let me show you how did we get this information, 80% and 20%. Right. Okay, so this is where we got the information. This is where the importance of 10% rules. Okay, alright, so remember this 80% and 20%. Since the office is more than 10%, it is not allowable as industrial building. So remember about these two. The Hurry Up whole building is calculated as industrial building. Okay, so let's put the QBE amount. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the part of the total of capital allowance that can be claimed. Alright. Okay, so let's start with the QBE amount. So the QBE amount is 2,062,500 ringgit. How did we get this amount? Okay, how did we get this amount? Did you still remember the part of how we calculate the QBE? Yeah, right. Let me show you here. Right, so we already identify all expenses that can be claimed as QBE and not QBE. So this is where we got the amount. Okay. Alright, so the QBE amount, okay, times by 80% because only 80% only the whole building is total of 2,062,500 ringgit, but only 80% from it is allowable as industrial building, and the other part is non-industrial building. Okay. Right. So let's calculate for industrial building part first. It's an easy calculation actually, which is every year. In first year for industrial building, the company can claim for initial allowance. Okay, initial allowance for 10%. Alright, so how did we get the 10% information? This information also has been told you in part 2 of IBA. So you have to look at the video so you can understand how did we get the 10% rules, or how did we can claim the initial allowance part. Okay. Alright, so the IA for the first year only, 10% times this amount. Okay, this amount. So we already calculate the 80%. So we get this amount. So 10% times 160, 1,650,000 ringgit. Okay, and AA. Every year we call it as annual allowance. Rate at 3%. Rate at 3%. Also, this information already has been delivered to you in part 2. So you have to look at the part 2 video. Okay. So every year, as long as the industrial building has been used actively, the company can claim annual allowance. Okay. So the amount is 3% times the QBE. Right. So the residual expenditure is 1,435,500 ringgit. So this is how we calculate the IB industrial building allowance in 2015. So let's have a look at the non-industrial building part. Okay. It is same. You have to calculate the QBE, which is this is the total amount of whole building. 20% is non-industrial building percentage. So this is the QBE. However, in non-industrial building, the company cannot claim for initial allowance. Okay, they only can but however they have to deduct the allowance called by notional allowance, because this building is not actively used as a factory. Okay, so the rate is 3%, same is annual allowance, but the name is AA for actively factory or actively industrial building. For non-industrial building, will claim NA, notional allowance. Okay, so the residual expenditure is 400,125. So how much that we can deduct in tax submission form for 2015 year assessment. Okay, the amount that we can deduct under capital allowance or IBA is right. So this is a mistake. Okay, this is a mistake. We should sum up this. Okay, so let me prepare this first. Okay, this is how we calculate it. Enter. Okay, so this is the amount that Fas dan Berhad can deduct from their taxation for year assessment 2015 under industrial building allowance. Okay. So let's move to 2016. Okay. So in 2016 for industrial building, the company can deduct annual allowance because this building is actively used as a part of business. Okay. So we are going to copy, just copy it and put it here. Alright. No need to other heavy calculation. Right, so you are going to get the residual expenditure. Okay, so we are going to do the same as the NIB. Okay, this also will put in here. Just copy it down. Okay, you will get the residual expenditure. But how about this part? How much that capital allowance can be claimed for year assessment 2016? The answer is 49,900 ringgit only active. Okay, only annual allowance can be deducted as a part of IBA in taxation claim for 2016. Let's do for 2017 and next. Okay, so 2017, we also can claim for AAA because there are no event happen. So we are going to copy it down. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to get the new residual expenditure. We are going to do the same as non-industrial building. We are going to copy it down. And you are going to get the new residual expenditure. So let's do the next year assessment 2018. Oh, so the claim that I'm sorry, we are forget about this. So we are going to claim for 49,500 ringgit for an active industrial building. So let's move to 2018. Alright, so in 2018, there are some event that happen. There are some situation happen in 2018. Did you still remember it? Okay, so let's have a look at the information that you have been getting. Alright, so in step 5, there are some information are given to you about an event happen. Something happened in 2018 year assessment. Okay, which is the heavy floods. So you have to know, you have to identify whether when the fastener berhad stop the operation, is the building is still maintained or not. Okay, so in the question, they are given you information that the building has maintained in readiness. So what treatment that are we going to do for your assessment 2018? So in 2018, the company can still claim for annual allowance because of the building has been disused, but they are maintain the readiness. Okay, that's why the company can claim for annual allowance. Alright. Okay, so after that, we are going to copy it down to, just copy it down because it still can be used as AA. Right, so we are going to get the new residual expenditure. So how about the non-industrial building? It's still not active use. It's still not a part of industrial building. So it's same. Okay, it's quite the same. Which is we still claim for national allowance, same as above. So the total of claim for that year is 49,500 ringgit for year assessment 2018. Alright, so in 2019, okay, in 2019 there is a special event too, which is you already gathered the information in step 6, which is the company sold their building to Hurry Up Sdn Bhd. If you can't remember about about the event, so let's have a look at the information in step 6. Okay, so here is step 6, which is the first Sdn Bhd sold their building to Hurry Up Sdn Bhd at 17th October 2019. The year assessment included is the year assessment is 2019, right? So that's why in year assessment 2019, era and event happened, which is the first neighborhood already sold their building to another company. So this is how we are going to treat the treatment. Okay, we are going to calculate the total residual expenditure here and here. Okay, why did we need to compute both amount? Because, okay, let's imagine this is the whole building, which is this part. Only this part is identified as office. Okay, 20% is office. Alright, but the other part, the other area has been used actively for factory, for manufacturer. Okay, 80% is here. The other 20% is office. So if we want to sell the building, we have to sell whole building. Correct? So that's why we need to compute both amount, the office amount and the factory amount or the industrial building amount. Okay, we cannot sell only the grey one. Okay, we cannot sell a part of it. We have to sell whole building, including the office. Okay, that's why we need to calculate both RE, residual expenditure. Get it? I hope you understand. Alright. So we already get the total of residual expenditure. We are going to deduct with the sold price. Okay. We are going to deduct with sold price, which is the amount of sold is 3,900,000 ringgit, but the total included with cost of land. So we have to deduct the cost of land too, which is 2,700,000. So yeah, the amount that we get is balancing charge, which is 2,700,000. We deduct to 1,650,000. So the amount is 1,050,000. So if you still remember about the balancing charge and balancing allowance, so this is how we get it. Okay, if the sale amount is more than the RE, so the balancing charge will be charged to the taxation part. Okay. However, if the sale amount is less than the residual expenditure, so the taxation will give you balancing allowance. Okay, so in 2020, there are no building for first Sdn Bhd. That's why we didn't calculate until 2020. So first Sdn Bhd is completed. So let's move to Hurry Up Sdn Bhd. Okay, for Hurry Up Sdn Bhd, what year assessment are we going to start with? Okay, so you already get the information in step 1. So let's have a look at the step 1. So in step 1, you already get the information which is on year assessment 2020. You are going to start the industrial building allowance part. Okay, what other information that we need is the QBE part, the QBE amount. And 10% rules and 70%, 75% rules. Okay, so in 10% rules, there are information about the office and showroom. However, since this is less than 10%, so the whole building is industrial building. So there are no calculation like fast neighborhood, which is we have to divide the IB and NIB, industrial building and non-industrial building. But for Harriet's neighborhood, all whole building is industrial building. Okay, how about the 75% rules? Okay, so there are no information about 75% rules, which is there are no information about installation, preparing, cutting, tunneling. Okay, so there are no information about that. And we need to identify the QBE, which is we already calculate purchase cost minus by land, minus land, we get the 2,700,000. Okay, so now it is the time that we calculate the industrial building allowance until year assessment 2020. Okay. Okay, we have to calculate until year assessment 2020. Okay, so let's start. We are going to start it with year assessment 2020. Okay, 2020. So the QBE amount is 3,900,000 as in here. Okay, minus with land. Okay, minus with land. So the amount is 2,700,000. So for the first year, the company is allowed to claim in initial allowance. Okay, initial allowance 10% times 2,700,000. You are going to get this amount, right? So also with AA, annual allowance 3% times the QBE amount, right? So the amount of residual expenditure is 2,349,000. So how much is the capital that can be claimed for Harriet's neighborhood for the year assessment 2020? Okay, so the amount is IA plus AA. So this is the amount that the company will claim in their taxation calculation. Okay. Alright. So did we need to continue to 2021? So if you want to do so, let's do it. But the question didn't. The question just asked you until 2020, but let's do it for 2021. So how does it look? It will be look like this. Okay. So for next year, the same amount that we are going to copy here and put it here. Alright, because it's same every year. It's same. So you just copy it down. No need to read calculation many times. Yeah. So after that, we are going to put the new RE. Okay. So 2021 is completed. Alright. So how much is the capital to be claimed for 2021? Okay, the capital that can be claimed is 81,000. Alright. So okay. So do you want to continue? Okay, let's do it. Let's do it for 2022. Okay. Down. Okay. Same amount if there are no event that accident happen to the building. So if there is no accident happen, so we are going to claim the AA2. Right? So we'll get the new residual expenditure and so on. Okay. So this is how you are going to calculate the industrial building allowance. So you need to do the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, 5, 6 and 7 because there are a lot of information given to you in the question. So you need to find out the important event, important date, important rules, so you won't get any mistake. Okay, so like I told you earlier that if you get the wrong QBE, okay, it will affect all the calculation. Okay, because the amount of QBE is very important. Okay, this is very important. If you wrong, okay, if you calculate wrong here, there will be some you will lose some marks. Alright, okay, so this is the uh, end of the example. So this is what I prefer, this is what this is. Alright, so you already settled calculate the industrial building allowance that we need you to master on it. So this is the solution that I do think if you follow this step, you won't leave any mistake. You won't leave any information that really important. So you can get the correct industrial building allowance competition. Okay, so step 1, you need to identify the accounting period for each company and the date of constructed building. Right? So number 2, you have to identify for 10% rules. So you will recognize which is industrial building, which one is non-industrial building. So step 3, you need to calculate the 75% rules. Alright? Okay, the 75% rules is really important to make sure that any information regarding to installation is part of QBE or not. Okay, step 4, you need to calculate the qualifying building expenditure, QBE. Step 5, you need to find that is there any temporary disuse event, that whether the building is still used as is maintained for readiness or not. Step 6, you have to find out the date of sold of the company, if any, which is the constructed building sold to another company. Okay, right, so when the building has been sold, there will be balancing charge, balancing allowance. Alright, and step 7 is the computation of industrial building allowance. Okay. So yeah, this is one example which has been included all information, all the situation which is there are constructed building, purchase building, 10% rules, 75% rules, and QBE calculation. So you have to do a lot more exercises, so you will find out more types of QBE, more types of situation of 75% rules or disuse event. So you have to do more exercise. Alright, so let's move to the conclusion. continuation on part 3. You already learned on how to calculate the industrial building allowance for constructed building. You also have been learned about on how to calculate the industrial building for purchased building, and you also can identify whether to occur balancing charge or balancing allowance in disposal building. So, in part 4, you are going to learn about the other allowance such as agriculture allowance and forest allowance. So, see you soon!